Yeah.
And now, welcome. It's time for Friday Night Marketing. We're gonna rock. We're gonna roll. Get real and bold. Come on, join the show now. It's about to unfold. Get raw, get real, get results now. We're the latest steel, making waves loud. On this stage, we ignite. Every Friday night, brand new fight. Get real, get results now. We're the latest steel, making waves loud. On this stage, we ignite. Every Friday night, brand new fight. In the spotlight, feel the fever. Every pitch and quest. Dreams are big, get bigger tonight. Push the limits, reach new heights. So grab your seat, don't blink an eye. 'Cause Friday night will touch the sky. And now, welcome. It's time for Friday Night Marketing Raw.
Hello.
Well, that's better.
Hello. It's Friday Night Marketing Raw. Welcome. Hope you've had a good week.
I've had a good week. I've had a busy week.
Yeah. You've been working on lots of different stuff.
Oh yeah. And the stuff that I like working on is sometimes makes me money, sometimes it's to entertain my brain.
Yeah. And what's the one you're working on at the moment? If you want to say.
Well, I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up right now. Yeah, it's a website. It's a really simple website, but it has I'd say a lot of potential. Right now, I'll do this so we can actually see it a little bit better. It is called AInewsforyou.com. And it is a news aggregate website just for AI news and development, such as AI, image and video AI, stable diffusion, language models, agents, AI research, development, AI vision itself, NLP advances. And it is updated every 60 seconds to make sure that you have the latest and greatest news one place right here. How I'm going to support the website is, of course, you're automatically knowing in your head ads, and I'm going to do the simplest and easiest ads there are, and that's Google Ads. Makes it simple, makes it easy. They're just going to populate in 4 spots, and the 4 spots only, and they're all above the fold. The header here on the left, here in the center, here on the right. That's it. And it will auto adjust the ads. They won't be in the exact same spot. It auto fluctuates. So it'll actually move around. So customers don't get ad blindness, which is something new that I figured out I could do. Hello, Steve.
Mr. Miller. Oh.
Goodbye, Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hello there.
The button. Hello. Happy Friday.
Yeah, very happy Friday.
Oh, see, it just updated the AI headshot that works for me. I mean, it updates in real time. You don't have to do a thing.
Automatic websites. There you go.
Yep. It's the whole idea. And isn't that nice and pretty? You even get an image to go along with it. So that's a little something I've been working on. Single page website. I want to see how many millions of views I can get.
Cool.
Got to be worth a try. How you doing, Mr. Stephen?
I'm doing all right. Well, I say I'm doing all right. That implies that I'm doing something, but I haven't done anything since we came back from January. So, yeah, I'm doing okay. It's I've been looking at a lot of retro gaming stuff and writing a book. And the last week I've spent putting together adverts for digital art. Advert's probably the wrong thing. It's going to be an Instagram post. It's taken a week to make one Instagram post, but then it's a whole digital art, 10 panels of artwork to say to people, look, I'm doing this thing and I'd like you to be part of it. Come and DM me and chat. So yeah, it's taken a while, but I think it's been worth it. So that's sort of in the works, and I'll set the things up for that because I'm gonna actually advertise that, boost the post to let people see it, because it's only a very local thing, so it should hopefully work quite well. And I'm going to give 10 people the opportunity to work with me for free. That helps build my portfolio, and if anyone else comes in, they can pay, which is that's the point. And then thinking about digital products and what I'm going to do next, because I need to kind of get on and start doing the next one. So yeah, that's been my week so far.
I think doing that boosting for local stuff is very sensible.
Yeah,
we had here in Shaftesbury, they started up at the Arts Centre. There was a lot of people going, "Oh, it's a shame there's not a cinema in town." And then someone said, "We got the Arts Centre that's got the capability of being a cinema, and it hardly ever gets used as one." And then they started a club up called the Shaftesbury Film Club or something, and it became a committee that wanted to get films up. And they did well, and they got it. They got some funding. They've actually secured really some quite good films. But its attendance after the initial spike dropped a bit, and whatever else. Anyway, they were recently saying, if we don't get more support, we're going to be shut down on the Facebook page. And nearly the whole town came in and went, "We didn't even know you were fucking open." Like,
this is a big problem.
They said, well, we list it on this Facebook page and this Facebook page. And they're like, yeah, but we don't go to those things. And we don't. And when we do go to those things,
a lot of people aren't going to Facebook as well. I think we get very kind of complacent about the fact that actually we're selling to people online, but the majority of people are still not online in the way that we are. You know, they're not on social media. They're not on Facebook. Most of the country is not on Facebook or X or anything like that. So, yeah, there's a lot of people you will miss if you don't do something which is.
But even if you are
bigger than that.
On those, posting in all the local free groups is good, but not everyone sees it. There's
Sure,
algorithms. You know,
Yeah.
whereas if you pay to boost it, it gets seen. This is advertising.
You get to choose the people that you want. Now, one of the reasons why I chose to do this and to put a boost on it is because it's entirely possible that I could use a couple of hashtags and people could see it and people could go, "Oh, I'd be interested in doing that," and they might live thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
So it's not really the best way of getting to the people that I want to talk to, which are people in Gloucestershire. I mean, not even Gloucestershire, just, you know, parts of Gloucestershire. So it's that's one of the reasons I think. And also, when you can do something which is very niched down, those boost posts I think are really good. If it's a bit wider and you've got, you know, let's say you've written a book on webinars and that's the whole thing that you've got, targeting webinars isn't necessarily going to get you anything. But if you can target this specific type of webinar in this specific type of circumstance for this use case, then there'll be people out there who need to see that who won't see it otherwise. And no one else is going to be targeting them specifically as well. That's the other thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very narrow and therefore cheaper.
Yeah.
The more you drill down, yeah.
I'm not going to spend very much on it. I'm only going to spend a couple of dollars a day at that, and
I think that's what
I'm only running it for a week, so it's not
not
going to be expensive.
And it'll be good to see what the results are.
Yeah.
There's always something to be learned from that sort of thing.
I'm just wondering if I have those there.
Kurt's still beavering away there on something.
Sorry.
I tell you what I can do.
I'll mute while I type.
I can share this screen here if you'd like to have a look. This is the social post I've put together.
I like that.
So it's in 10 sections, and each section goes on from another. So as a carousel, it's like one big, really long image.
So this is nice. I like the way it tells the story as well.
That's the point. This is my favorite one. That it took ages to do it and to get all the tentacles right and everything, but putting that together and then getting the sort of jokes from that was good. The whale looks good. I wanted something that was sticking out of the water, which meant that I could do that.
Yes.
And then that I wanted a reason for why all this water was coming from.
That's funny.
I found those online.
That's really cool, this.
And then that's the last image. But I'm really pleased with the way that turned out. And that's kind of what I want to do. I want to do pictures like this, like the Alice ones that I did, you know, before Christmas. And so I need people to do that with and people who will pay me to do it. You don't want to do these things for free, you know.
No, unfortunately, it's not viable.
So one of the things I'm working on this year, not only doing those images, but I'm also going to be putting together tutorials of how I've put those images together that I can then sell to a photography crowd who wants to learn how to do it. So that's
exactly it, isn't it, really? That's most of what we do. Like, I've been making software with Valtown. There are many other builders out there, but I have actually got it to a point now where I could teach someone, this is all you need to know, even if you don't know any code, anything else, and you can get a result like this, which is what I've been trying to get toward, but none of the other platforms quite got me there. You know,
yeah. Mhm.
the windsurf or whatever it was, that was good, but you've got to know some coding. I could use it, no problem.
Mhm.
But the minute I put someone with no experience on it, they sunk.
They can't do it. I mean, the Chat LLM one, as good as it is, and it is incredible, is the same thing essentially, isn't it? You've still got
I'm
that
using it,
kind of
but I wouldn't.
yeah.
You know, and what I'm fascinated by is where we can actually be using AI to let people do things that were outside their skill set.
This is why I started doing it in the first place. You know, my whole thing since I started was I'm going to help you make content, and now I can help people make content by giving them the right prompts in AI, because they don't know how to. Well, it's the thought process, isn't it? In writing copy or in making logos and things, it's the thought process that takes you from I need this to happen to now I've got this thing in front of me, and that's what people don't know. And you can sort of bypass a lot of those steps with AI, because AI not necessarily knows a lot, but you know, has some of that foreknowledge built into it, which is really useful.
Yep. Loving AI. Eventually it'll put us all out of a job, but for now it's good.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm kind of trying to get on and do something different. Because I think you can. There's a load of people out there who would revel in a easy-ish course that shows you how to do everything you want to do in AI with pictures and things. But it's not really what I'm interested in. And I know, because photography is like this, art is like this, everything that is creative is like this. It doesn't matter how much AI comes along, there will still be people who want to take photos. There will still be people who want to turn those photos into other things, regardless of what AI is capable of doing. Now, you'll end up using AI tools whilst you do that in a way that we've never done before. The generative fill stuff that Photoshop does, the just replacement stuff that can do now is already phenomenal. I don't know where they're going to go with that. I mean, video is clearly is next, because that's what everyone's talking about. But you know, at the moment, the video's great, but I can't see much of a use case from it. But there will be very soon.
Right. Yeah. That's in its infancy, the video side of it, isn't it? But look how much all the other areas, images and music, have come on in just the last year.
It's so quick as well. It's like, you know, you hear about this thing, and then a month later, there are 20 products out that do virtually the same thing, and people are testing them to see which one is better. The AI coding, in particular, a model comes out almost every day, and there's somebody there saying, "No, this is the better one." Mistral, is that the
Mistral,
they've just brought out a new AI coder, and it's phenomenal by the look of it. But you know, you can go down a rabbit hole and never do any actual work if you just play around with that all the time. So
absolutely, yeah. Once I've got more, and what I tend to do is play with the model and go, "Oh, it's really good at that," and now let's make some tools with that and get them out. Because otherwise, you're right. Otherwise, it's just me playing with Fisher-Price toys going, "This is fun."
So this is the next step for me, really, on IM products is, well, now I don't have ChatGPT. What am I going to do for that extra kind of step to allow people to do something else? And that's probably going to be some sort of custom code that goes in, is served within Product Dino via an iframe or something like that. So how am I going to do that? That's my next kind of job, really, is figuring out how that's going to work. But I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself to do this. I also want to have 4 products in the pipe works, so that I can very quickly launch 4 things in a row. And then whilst I'm doing that, I can be working on other stuff. Because once you've made the product, the launch process for me is wait 3 weeks and tell people about it. Which is, there's 3 weeks there that you then have to, you know, you're not doing anything. Now, I've been actually building the product in that time. But if I've got all the products done, it won't be the same.
Oh, here it is. I was gonna. Oh, I lost it again. I got served up with an ad earlier, and it was. And I read down there, and I thought, this is the most pointless thing ever. It's a It's a fake school. They call themselves like Imperial College something or the other, but it's
right.
Offering a 25-week certification in AI. And I thought, can you imagine, with the speed AI is changing at the moment, by the time by the time your 10-week one is out of date, but by the time you've been through the 25 weeks, none of what you've learned is relevant anymore.
No, completely. I mean, I remember stuff coming out that was like, this is how you use AI for marketing. And even that's, I mean, a lot of that isn't out of date because you're just telling the AI the same stuff. It was all, you have to know the marketing stuff to tell the AI what to do. But even that is sort of becoming a bit obsolete now because AI knows so much stuff that you can ask it what you need. And it will come up with a pretty good thing. I've just been writing captions and I've been using AI and I put in quite a convoluted prompt that was saying, okay, I need it to do this. I need it to feel completely unsalesy, but I need it to go use the same sort of behavioral heuristics that we would use on a sales page. And it did it. And I shockingly didn't even see that it had done it until I sort of went through it line by line and went, oh, it's doing that and that's doing this bit. And it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Okay. There's the ad. 25 weeks online. Accelerate your career. You're not accelerating anything. You're slowing yourself down. Really. You know, but you will get a bit of paper at the end from a school that isn't real.
Well, there's that. That's the other question, though. Are there business opportunities for people who know AI right now, or are people still just experimenting with it? And I know in Hollywood there are a few people who are hiring AI image prompters so that they can use it. But then they're getting a lot of pushback from the actual creators in Hollywood who are saying, we don't want you to use AI at all. So is that a good path to go down if, you know, you might be kicked out of an industry because people in the industry don't like you and that's it?
Yeah, just don't tell them you're using it is my advice.
Well, if that's a possibility.
Well, if you use it well, it should be like any other tool. You know, if you build a cabinet,
it should, but if you
drill or an electric drill, it's just down to what you've got and your level of skill.
It should be, but if you're doing a storyboard and then the director says, "Okay, but can you change this bit, and this bit?" AI's not very good at doing that. That's where you're going to sort of fall into problems. It'll get there, but you know, it's.
Yeah, well, you're always going to need to have that human at the moment. You need that human element to make the final decisions.
Yeah,
you can say. I was talking to some people the other day. At a meeting this week, we've got this project we're doing, and I can't tell you too much about it, but I will say that we were sat chatting, and I had to point out. At first, they were pipe dreaming it. It was like, if we could do this, and it worked all out, and then did it, and I went, that'd be the worst thing ever, because now you've got no say. You're trusting basically an algorithm of sorts that we don't even understand because it's AI now, right?
Yeah.
So what you want is AI to give you all of the relevant information presented in a way that you can quickly make a decision based on solid information and trends.
Yeah.
And they went, oh, yeah, that is what we want. Right then, that's different. It's a different thing you're building. If you try and build what you're building, all you're going to do is build a tool that will put you out of a job when it gets good enough. But while it's not good enough, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Tom.
How are you?
Hello. I'm tired. I'm all right. Good. I've been playing around with that Abacus AI, and I can honestly say, do not like it. Do not like it.
Really? That's interesting. What is it you don't like about it?
It's the output shit, basically. I was
Is that
trying
from
to
the standard Abacus, or have you chosen one of the models to use?
it was routing. It was routing to Claude 3.5 last night.
Mhm.
And I was trying to do an ebook, and I said to it, I gathered all the information, like a lot of info, like probably 2,000 words, and I said, can you format this into an ebook? And I knew it could do it because it had essentially done it, but the output was like
Sure.
600 words. I was like, no, that's not
Yeah.
what I want. I want at least 5,000 words. And then it kept spitting out about 700. I was like, okay, I'll give you an example of what I want in an ebook. Can you replicate this, how it's laid out and everything? And it spat out what I put in, but condensed it down to 600 words again. I'm like, are you taking the piss? I was getting like,
that's a
with
thing that AI's had a problem with for a long time. You need to split this up and do it in sections.
Right.
It's the way I've done, the manuals and things I've given away with courses before. That's all. Oh well, this section needs to be this. So just don't trust it more than about 500 words.
Okay.
And do it in 500 word chunks, and it will produce better stuff. But for sort of general collecting the data, ChatGPT is the best one. And then for getting that data into a more readable, more interesting format, then it's Claude. But then that's literally just copying and pasting from one to the other and saying, now rewrite this in a way that is fun. You can do it in Abacus. I haven't done because I haven't had Abacus for that long, because I've been doing it in the two systems. But yeah, you can go into Abacus and say, I just want to use Claude, and then copy bits from onto it and use a Google Doc as your intermediary thing.
Yeah, it's hard. It was hard work last night. I was getting mad with it, but
it's like working with a petulant child at times.
Yes. Oh, very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better now. It used to argue with you all the time. It doesn't quite do that now.
No, but it's almost got too silly, hasn't it? Because it's like, I thought somebody posted the other day on social media a thing where they typed into ChatGPT, what is 2 + 2? And it went, it's 4. And they went, no, that's wrong. I checked and it's 5, or, just the wrong answer. And ChatGPT immediately, oh, I'm very sorry. Having looked at what you said, I agree. You're correct. The answer's 5.
Yes,
I am finding using ChatGPT a lot better. I haven't got the paid one on it, but it's they've got that new, whatever it is, Chaps or something, where you can tasks.
Projects and tasks. Yes.
That looks. I haven't played with it, but it does look really good. So you can get it to kind of aggregate like news and whatever else and feed it to you.
I am interested in the whole. Now you can get it to use a computer for you, but I'm not quite sure what the use case of the. I mean, it's going to be different for everything, but I'm not quite sure what the use case that I would want it to do is yet, because I thought at one point I send messages to a lot of people on Facebook. I could just get it to send those messages for me, and that'd be really useful. And then I thought, well, okay, but I still need to break them down by some people I just want to contact personally because I've known them or their friends. It's not quite as easy as you think it is. But there will be things that's going to be really useful for in the future, I think. And the way that Chat LLM uses it uses a virtual console as well. So you're not having to allow a system into your computer, which you have to do with the other ones, in order to do it. That will run on a completely different computer for you. But
I was playing back with that in that Abacus, the virtual thing. That is really good.
It is.
That is, yeah.
There's some
the
amazing
coder in it
stuff.
is really good. I was just saying earlier, but the coder in it's really good as well. So
yeah,
yes.
You still have to know about code, but
it uses Firefox, isn't it? Kind of as the as the framing.
It's got Firefox. It's got what's the spreadsheet thing in it? OpenOffice, LibreOffice, I think is the
Yeah.
one in there. But I don't see why you couldn't say to it, go into Google and do this. And I would set up a brand new Google account that you only use with Abacus just in case, you know. But there's no reason why you couldn't do that and say, go into this and then do this in this spreadsheet and then check this with that. Or I was thinking the other day, scraping websites. That's the thing that we always used to do way back in the day. I remember doing that when I was a web designer. Well, we could do that now. What about if you took somebody's YouTube channel and you said, all right, well, I'll scrape the YouTube channel, I'll get the titles, and you don't need to have the thumbnails, but you could have a URL link to their thumbnail, and I'll get the description that they've got, and I'll get the number of views that they've got, and we will work out on the spreadsheet what the average number of views per video is, and so you can see which one of those has performed better for that channel. Because it's no good going to a channel and going, I'm going to just copy their video, or at least copy the idea of their video, because they've got 25,000 views. Because they might be a channel that regularly gets 25,000 views, and for those you want the videos that get like 40,000 views. Right. Because so you need to know all of this stuff before you kind of go and model somebody else's content. So you could do that potentially with this Chat LLM thing, because it's got access to all the bits that you need without having to log into some sort of API on Google.
I've seen a few of these things that have computer control, like that one that does it in a virtual machine, and then others that try and control things. And we're getting there, but none of it. It's all a bit clunky at the moment.
There's still a lot of stuff you have to download and install and get working, isn't there? Yeah, and there are things that just don't always work, and then you've got to go, oh, I'll restart that and jig that. Can you try again, please? And there's a lot of that nonsense at the moment, but it'll get better. It'll get better. We really are getting to the point, I think, where you will walk into your office in the morning and say, "Hey, computer, send an email to Bob telling him our prices. Let Jane know I can't make the meeting, and send out a marketing email promoting this Gerbil watch from Warrior Plus," and it'll go, all right then, done. Yeah. We're very close to that, actually, I think. So.
And while you're doing all that fun, creative stuff, I'm going to go to the toilet.
We are there. I kid you not. I've already seen that today. Someone was like, he was talking to Siri, and then Siri was sending the information to Airtable, and then he was on a web page. He had a Chrome extension, sent that also to the Airtable, and then it would log the sources of where it came from, all using webhooks, all using Make. And then
if you are smart enough to set this stuff up with Make, yes, that is absolutely feasible. Right?
And
in fact, I've seen people doing.
It was an hour course, and I watched that today.
I've seen people. The next stage, though, is just going to be the AI will just be able to do it. You won't need to know Make and set up.
Yeah, you won't need that whole section. It'll understand it for you. Yeah.
And that's where it gets interesting. But we're a little way off that yet. Probably not that far.
I do think automations is knowing automations is the key to making things.
I think
it was always the case. If you had a traditional business, automation was like the third part of your growth cycle, and we'd never really properly had that online, because we have had automation, but it's not been quite as good as we'd have liked. And now it kind of is. It's getting there. It's nearly at that point where you can literally have a business that kind of runs itself without having to pay a lot of people to do it. I mean, I've essentially got that with the odd email coming back saying either I want a refund or I can't log in, and that's it. That's it's and then you can focus on the things that are really important, and that's the real benefit, is that you can then push your time into all of those things that are actually going to make you money, rather than wasting it doing the paperwork or the admin or the social media posts or whatever it is you have to do.
It's like Andy says, focus on the things that you enjoy doing and outsource the rest. And if you can outsource it to AI or automation, then all the better.
But think about what AI can do right now, and if you could tie that together with a couple of things. So AI can make videos already. It doesn't make very long videos, but it could make a 10-second video, which is virtually enough for an Instagram story or an Instagram reel. So let's say that you put in your list of requests every week for the stories that you want AI to publish. And then AI goes out, makes the video, writes the caption, uploads it to Instagram, and publishes it. That's your whole social media can be automated like that. Now there's the sort of the human element in there as well, because a lot of those videos people aren't going to like as much. That that people are aware that videos are AI at the moment, so people who don't like AI are going to turn away from it anyway. But there is still that possibility of doing all of that stuff completely
If you can
devoid
build a
of
good
you
enough,
having to have any input.
build a good enough hook and whatever else, and make it look a story. Try and give it that human element, and I think you'd be onto a winner. But I know what you're saying with the AI thing. It's if you see an AI video,
You do notice it at the moment, but you won't
yeah,
in maybe even months to come. God knows what's going to happen by the end of the year.
I know, scary. I watched your YouTube video, Steve. It's absolutely cracking. The Doctor Who one.
Thanks. Which
No,
one did
really.
you watch?
The Christmas one.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I think it's what I want to push to people this year, is that get the basics right first.
Hmm.
You will have a really nice looking video, PDF, whatever it is you're trying to put out, and then just replicate that and do. You don't need to do any more design. You don't need to do anything else. You've got that sort of baked into everything that you do, and then every bit of content that you put out is going to be of a much higher quality. And having it be a much higher quality makes people think it's worth more. That's it.
Yeah.
It's you don't need to do it, because clearly, people on Warrior haven't been doing it for a very long time. Some of the stuff that gets out, and it is literally just a page of text, and it sells. So it's not that you need to do it, but it's that over time these things are going to be seen to be more valuable, and seem to be more valuable by your audience as well.
Yeah, it'll separate you from the chaff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like you say, if you can template it, that'll be rather than have to do it each time.
That's the holy grail. But then I saw your product and stuff, which I will try and get an email out for after. It'll be after launch, but I'll still want to push it.
Yeah, appreciate that.
The stuff that I've seen from that looks really good as well. So, and that's again, it's exactly where you kind of want to be as a creator, as somebody who's running a business. Perhaps you want to have those things that look really nice, because then people see it and they go, "Oh, well, that's really nice. They must know what they're talking about." It's a weird thing. Heuristics are a very strange thing, but they're fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, it's like if you're buying a bottle of water in an airport is worth more than a bottle of water from the local shop. It's about
because you have less access to it. That's
yeah. That's a bit of a bad example, but about branding.
It's things like the frequency delusion, or the IKEA effect, or things like that. So the IKEA effect is if you put something together yourself, you value it more. And the frequency thing is if you buy a car, you're more likely to see that car on the street than any other car. And
that's your
understanding those
activating system, isn't it, or something?
It's something like that, yeah. But understanding those things are quite.
Be right back.
Okay.
And they reckon as well, if you clean your car, it runs better. It feels like it runs better, like a new car.
Yeah.
Really?
And the car smell that they spray into it, it's because, again, it gives you that feeling of buying a new car and buying a second-hand one. There's no actual mechanical change to it, but it makes it feel better. There's the whole idea of spending money doing things that produce psychological results rather than things that necessarily produce physical results means that you will spend a lot less money, but you will get a lot better outcome from it. And it's absolutely true. All the way down to, we've seen it happen before with things like Apple, the fact that they time the length, the opening the box is timed. So every Apple phone box opens at the same rate. It's something like 4 seconds, and it builds the anticipation up to seeing the phone. And who would think of that beyond a big company? But it makes such a difference when you're buying a product to see something like that. To have cardboard that doesn't feel like it's cardboard. I bought this just before Christmas, new trackball, because my other one gave up the ghost. This is essentially the same trackball that I bought before, but the old one is plastic and it feels plastic. This new one is plastic, pretty much the same thing, but it's slightly textured and it doesn't quite feel like plastic. And it's like using a different computer. It's crazy that little things like that make such a difference in the way that we kind of view the world. It's
absolutely. Well, if you go to...
I'll be back. I got to go pick up someone real quick.
All right.
See you, Kurt.
You look at a higher-end jewelry shop or a higher-end camera shop or whatever. What do? You go in and they got a nice suede pad and they put that on the counter first. And then they pop gloves on and they go over and they bring the thing down. They put it down and they unfold it. And it's all in that little bit of bread. The end of the day, it's the same camera you buy down the road 200 quid cheaper. But the fact that it's been presented and sold to you and you're told about it and it's made to feel, and you've got that service element of the sale.
Right. It does make a massive difference. And that stuff is fascinating to me. So I'm always happy to find out more about it. But I've read so many behavioural research books now. Maybe it's too much. Maybe I'd just like to read
where you go, hang on a minute, they're all contradicting. This one says don't do it, and that one says do it.
and the reality is that they're both right, just in different circumstances. That's the crazy.
Exactly. Thing. Yeah. Both are right. Yeah. But that's the thing, isn't it? I think we complain that computers are binary, but that's how we like things.
Completely, yeah. We don't know who we are. We think we do. And was it Jonathan Haidt who was talking about the elephant and the man, and that we think that we can, we're the man, our conscious brain is the man, and our subconscious brain is the elephant. And we think that we control the elephant because we're sat up there with a whip saying, go this way and do that way. And occasionally the elephant turns the way that we want, and we think, yes, we're in control. But really, the elephant's going where it wants. Yes. And we don't realize it.
Yes, that's a very good analogy, actually. I like that. Yeah. But that's why, no matter how long I've been around doing this stuff, and people go to me, well, but how did you get that conversion rate to that? And I go, I split test it. Because I don't fucking know.
You don't know.
I'm not a genius marketer that writes a page first time and it fucking works. It doesn't happen.
No.
And guess
I don't think it ever happens. It doesn't.
Spoiler alert, nor's anyone else. I don't care who they are, how good they are. They're good because they test, not the other way around.
Oh, the only reason I'm getting those conversion rates on the products that I've done is because I've literally copied what somebody else was doing who was getting good conversion rates, and that's it. And hey, it's working, so I'm going with it. But I'm interested in doing stuff with that maybe this year and seeing if I can push prices and where's that sweet spot, because I know 10 quid will sell because it's pocket money, but at what point does it stop being pocket money and start being, oh, this is an investment, and so therefore you need more stuff on a sales page? I've been trying to work that out.
I mean, again, it's a weird one, isn't it? It's because it's the value proposition, and it's because I know that everyone started selling products on, say, Warrior, for example, at $7 and $10 and whatever else. There is something to be said for the recent ones I've done at that price point because it's what the market's been conditioned for. and it's just
Sure,
easier
sure.
to not go against the flow. But the truth of the matter is, when I first started launching there and people were putting out products for 17, I was bringing out products at 47, 67, and 97, and they were doing just as well. And when I occasionally do now, they still do okay. Yeah, you don't sell as many, but you're selling it for 10 times the price. And you definitely sell, you don't sell, the same number, but you don't sell 10 times less.
This is actually where I've been. So something like Copy Catalyzer, which I sold for $20, I made the same amount of money from as Crowdworks, the last one I did, which I'd sold for $10. But it's not the price point that's changed; it's people's willingness to buy, I think. And that's the other thing, that depending on what platform you're on, will inform people's willingness to buy at a certain price point. Because I've seen people on Zoo sell stuff that you would see on Warrior for $10 for $50 or $60, and they sell. And if you go on to sort of a completely different platform, to a completely different route to market, which would be, say, Instagram, the price points there are $37, $47 for a front end product that are selling straight off. The self-liquidating funnels, they're all that price, and they're selling straight off adverts. They're not warm traffic or anything. So, if that's the case, could you take essentially a Warrior product and then put it there and with the same sales pages and things that we're using? Would that, because I think it might still work, and yet you could charge a lot more money for it.
Absolutely. There is so much.
And when I've got enough money to try it, I will try it. I will test it.
Also, the other crazy thing I've had happen, I had a product out many years ago, and I was going, well, that doesn't sold as well as I thought. And 2 or 3 other people looked at it, and they went, yeah, it's too cheap. Put the price up.
Yeah.
And I was reluctant, but I did, and holy shit, sales take off. So it's not, don't ever assume if your sales are slow, you need to make it cheaper. It's not necessarily the case. That there is no correlation, is not causation. It's...
Well, again, the behavioral thing would say that people aren't necessarily conditioned on price. This is why behavioral economics came about in the first place, because people, the campus in California just happened to be the same place where the economics department was in the same place as the psychology department. And the psychologists talked to economists who were saying, why aren't our models working? And the psychologists said, it's because you haven't accounted for people. And that's essentially what it is. Not everybody buys on price. A lot of people do, but not everybody does. A lot of people will buy for a completely different reason. And I think if you can make that value proposition, that change that they're going to make between I don't know this and now I know this, then people are going to buy it.
That is the human nature element of it, and we are all different. And it's like the other classic illustration of that is that if you take America, if you go to a southern state of America, they all talk more slowly, but they do that because they value your time and they don't want to have to repeat the thing. In New York, the more you get up the northern East Coast, they talk very quickly. For the same reason. They value your time. It's 2 different mentalities and approaches and 2 different solutions to the same problem, and they're both valid.
Yeah.
But you will like, naturally, one more than the other, depending on the type of person you are.
Yeah.
So the fact is, that comes back to don't try and appeal to everyone. You just can't. Be
niche down to who your target market is.
Do what you do, because the moment you try and pander to pull everyone else and you don't, you just dilute your own audience, and you're being artificial and fake with all the others, and that will become very evident. So we have to polarize. I was chatting to somebody the other day, and he was going, I sent out an email, he said, and I had a really good open rate, but I also had a lot of unsubscribes, and I went, good. If that's the content you want to be sending and you're going to be sending, you don't want those fuckers on your list. You want to send
tell you
content that polarizes, gets rid of people that won't buy from you because they're just costing you money otherwise.
Yeah, of course. I've actually had a lot of unsubscribes over Christmas, which I wasn't. Usually, Christmas nobody's paying any attention to it, or the few that do might be. But I've had a lot of unsubscribes and not many people kind of opening emails.
I
picking up again. The last couple I've sent were
I slowed my
right,
mailing right down up till Christmas because there's no point for the same reason. And I think also people get a lot of mail around that time.
Yeah,
some unsubscribers come because you are unlucky and you happen to go in their promotions folder that day and they don't pull you out. And after 30 days, Google goes, "Oh, it's clearly shit." Then,
Yeah.
You. So yeah, that's why I slowed my mailing down over Christmas, and I've only just started to ramp it back up because I noticed the very first mail in January was dicey. It's interesting, but now it's picked back up and it's back to normal.
I did Kevin's thing. I didn't get a single sale from it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I kind of, I mean, he's released that stuff before, and I'm pretty sure that my audience would have seen it before, so it wasn't totally surprising. But then,
but. I mean, I've got things like that. You get things that I thought, oh, that'll do quite well based on what I know about what to go for, and did a promotion and it didn't go over half as well as I expected. In fact, even the guy I was doing it for went, have you sent all your mails now? And I went, I'm afraid to say, yes, I have. It just hasn't gone. I'm sorry, it hasn't gone over, but
it does happen. It does happen.
And I said, but we'll try again later in the year. We'll give it another shout out in 6 months' time, and we'll probably sell a shit ton.
See what happens.
It can be seasonal. It can be you just don't know. And also, January is a difficult time. You lead up to Christmas. No one's thinking about their business. Business people are independent business owners and part-time business owners. They're all focused on everything else that's more important to them, which is, oh shit, my daughter's asked for an Xbox for Christmas. I've got to get this sorted for the wife. We haven't got the Christmas dinner sorted, and the in-laws are fucking coming. You're not remotely interested in what I've got to say. So I try not to land in your inbox much then, because I just get swept under the carpet with everything else.
Yeah.
January, it starts to pick up, but you've still got people feeling the recovery of the holiday season. Because, oh, right, new year, new start. Oh, fuck, I've just got my credit card statement. So it's not they won't spend money.
I think that there is, because January is such a long month as well. I mean, even if it's not, but it feels like it's such a long month.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's been January for 2 months already.
Yeah.
Because it feels like that. And I think people do get to the end of it and go, actually, I've got a lot more money left than I thought. Because they thought it was a lot longer than it was.
It's an end of the month January.
Yeah. But I did I wasn't planning on sending out any emails over Christmas. But I did say to John Dotel, I'll do Tiny Brander promo off the back of doing Crowdworks. Yeah. And when that was scheduled in, happened to be that the replay ended on the 23rd of December. I got sales. I've done all right, but I wasn't really expecting that to happen. I mean, I sent out a Christmas email and then a New Year's one, but I didn't do anything much.
Boxing Day is a good day to send emails.
Well, it can be. It depends what you send and what you want to promote as well. That's the other thing. If you can do something that's really good on Boxing Day, then do. If it's a really particularly good promotion. Talking of promotions, if anybody uses Adobe for anything and can switch to yearly instead of monthly, you will save yourself money because they're putting their prices up at the end of the month. And if you get a yearly subscription now, you won't have to pay the increase until next year.
I don't just done that, and Mum's just anything done that. Anymore. Funny enough.
No, well, I've got to use Photoshop still, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd ditch it completely. But Adobe Affinity Photo isn't quite what I need to do the digital art stuff.
Yeah.
Had it been, I'd have just got rid of it.
Yeah, I think my dad has the basic Photoshop subscription for his camera work, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So he,
I used to,
Well,
yeah, I used to sell
they've
that
put that up
Affinity.
from 10 quid a month to 15 quid a month. And if you are unlucky enough to have cancelled the account and want to sign back in, the only option is 20 quid a month,
yeah,
Oh,
which gives you like a terabyte of extra storage. But if you don't use the storage, and most people don't, then there's no point.
are you struggling to open that, Andy?
yeah, giving up for now. I'll come
You,
back to
you,
it.
you need to strengthen your wrist somehow. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what exercise I could suggest, but
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what, that is the one thing. It's funny. I was thinking. I was chatting to some people the other day, and they were like, you know, since you transitioning, how's it going? Are there any advantages, disadvantages, and whatever else? I went, disadvantages is definitely muscle strength. Your muscle strength fucking just goes. And I was told it would, but like, it's fucking mental. I can't, you know, jars I struggle to open now that before I would have just picked up and done that, you know, no effort. But it is all to do with that, yeah. But I'm just like, oh, well, fuck it. Never mind. It is what it is, isn't it? But I'll get it in a minute. When I get agitated enough with it, it will just pop open. I just need to do the bang it on the table thing as well. That always helps.
I finally started on that Manjaro stuff on Sunday,
Oh, how's it going?
and it's brilliant. I mean, within about 3 days, I stopped being hungry.
Wow.
It's just incredible. It wore off midweek, I think, because I actually was used to being on a higher dose of Ozempic. But yeah, it is really good. And
I heard you mention that the other week. Does it give you the shits, for want of a better?
well, it can do, or it can give you constipation. It
Okay.
plays around with your gut, so depending on who you are, will depend on what you get. And I seem to be fine on it. I was fine on a much higher dose of Ozempic, so I'm not expecting to have any problems until I get up a little bit, at least. But yeah, I mean, it can. I wouldn't take it if it was just for weight loss, because there are so many side effects with it. You can lose your eyesight. You can, you can get very bad IBS symptoms. You can, it can basically put you into a state of being diabetic
Wow.
if you don't use it properly and you don't get it prescribed properly, and you know. But if you're already diabetic, then what's the point in not taking it? You know, because the doctors will prescribe it for a particular thing. So I was on these things called glycosides, which are like the base drug that they give you if you're diabetic, and it sort of punches your pancreas into submission so that it actually produces insulin. And the only problem with that is that it also promotes weight gain. And so the hope is that this stuff will mean that I can come off the glycosides and use this stuff to sort of do the same thing as the other one is doing instead. And by doing that, that will help me lose weight more than actually the drug will in the first place, because I'm not taking something then that is going, yeah, you need to be fat, which, you know.
I've got a friend that's been on it, and it's been working for her. It took a little while to get the dose right, and then it seems to be doing okay. So,
yeah. Well, it's like 4 weeks on one, and then 8 weeks on the next one up, and then they'll monitor you as you go along, and eventually you'll get to the dose that you want. But I think that people have had problems because some people have bought it as opposed to going through a doctor, and have just taken too big a dose all at once, and it's just too much for them, you know.
Yeah. Yes, you
but
will
it
see.
is good.
It's
very good.
That's our takeaway.
And here's the great thing about that. So these semaglutides are the drug. The Mounjaro one. It does sound a little bit like that. The Mounjaro one is like the third generation of these drugs. They're already testing the 5th, 6th, and 7th generation of these drugs. So wherever we are now, it's going to get better.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds a bit like AI does.
It is a bit, really. There is always going to be something else that we haven't seen yet. But in this instance, sometimes, drugs take years to develop. But these
takes a bit longer, doesn't it? But I mean, already, I
Yeah.
bet AI is helping speed that up dramatically now. You know, the
Oh,
amount
it
of
is.
things
It's
we
helped
can-
with like operations and things, hasn't it?
yeah,
It's
because
helped.
we can
You
run
know,
simulations and say, well, what would happen in 1,000 different instances with this, or 1,000,000 different? And the predictions we're getting are so good, which is why they're able to get vaccines out quicker and
Mhm.
things like that. But yeah, it's
Like-
interesting seeing where AI can be really useful, where it can be
Yeah.
partly useful, and where it can be an unmitigated disaster, which is normally just the same old story. People not knowing how to use it, isn't it? You know,
Mm.
pretty much. Yeah.
I'll hold my
pretty
hand
much.
up to that.
Yeah, well, you
Yeah,
know,
it's-
if
it's just prompting
if
it, isn't
tomorrow
it?
someone bought out a super fast racing car, only people that know how to drive fast cars and racing cars should go and buy one. Your
Yeah.
average idiot in the street will kill themselves behind the wheel of it because they don't know how to use it. It's the same thing.
I've been thinking learning to prompt is like learning to code. You have to put yourself in the right mindset for it.
Mm.
Anybody can do it. It's not difficult, but you need to
Mhm.
think through the consequences of your actions
Yeah.
before telling the AI to do stuff. And a
One
lot
of
of
the
people are
things
very
that's
bad at
helped
that.
me a lot is always remembering that I'm talking to a computer. And the one
Yeah.
thing you know from a programming background that always stands the test of time is if you put garbage in, you're going to get
You'll
garbage
get
out.
garbage out. Mm.
And it is like guiding a teenager that's just, I mean, if you're doing programming with it, it's like guiding a reasonably good teenage coder who hasn't ever been told how to actually structure things. So, you know, you've got
Yeah.
to know, right, okay, it's got to be in this order and it's got to be doing it like this, and this needs to be stored in this way. You have to spell it out.
I tell you what it's like. There's actually like if you've ever used the educational version of Minecraft, which allows kids to learn to code slowly, and it starts them
Mm.
getting on that process.
Yeah.
It's like trying to teach a kid how to do that.
Mm.
Because I taught my cousin how to do that, and it's exactly the same as using AI. Exactly the same.
Yeah. I love when I don't, it wasn't necessarily a special version of Minecraft, but we used to have our own server, and I had a whole area on the server where all I did was build was it called red brick?
Redstone.
Redstone. I
Redstone.
used to build redstone contraptions, and because I
They're
came
so
from
much
a
fun. I
programming
love doing
background,
those.
and I understood
Yeah.
the concepts of a logic gate and an AND OR, because I learned that from way back
Well,
then. and applied it.
Here's the other thing. You understood that because you came from a programming background at the right era, and so did I. Well, there are kids who've never had to deal with the like physical PCBs and things, who would
Yeah.
never in a million years think of what a logic gate is. And it's not until they start learning this stuff that they're learning it. There are kids out there who understand logic gates because they played a game, which is
Yeah.
brilliant.
It doesn't matter how you understand something as long as you understand it in the end, doesn't it?
No.
I remember when I was doing computer sciences at school, and bear in mind, this is in the 1980s, it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
in the 1983, and the books we were learning out of were talking about technology from 1969 to 1973.
Yeah.
You know, but we did learn about things that already weren't being used much. I mean, Kimball tags you'd still see in shops back then. Saw them until around the 90s. And it was, but learning about what a parity bit was and how it helped with error correction, the amount of things that's coming useful for later on in life in programming, because especially in the early days of internet data transmission, where you would send data and get data back, and it would often corrupt on the way. It just did,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
because the error correction now is built into the routers and everything else. So
Yeah.
that's doing all that for us. But in the very early days, that was being done with some things, but not everything. So you could send a long number to somebody and it could get it slightly wrong in the process, because unless you said how you would send it with a checksum, and if it was the checksum didn't match, it would ping back and say, give me that number again, please. And you'd send it again.
But you needed that because you do get packet corruption, especially when sending data over long areas. Yeah.
So I'm glad I
it's
learned.
very interesting, actually.
You know,
I think it's a good thing that I was incredibly lucky that when I did my degree in multimedia, which was essentially this is how you make websites and CD-ROMs, they didn't actually know what to teach us, because it was such a new thing at the time that you know, we went in there. Flash is on version 2 or something like that. A lot of us went in there going, well, we want to build Flash websites because that's what everybody's doing right now. And the teachers were, Flash, we'd never used Flash before. We used this other thing. And, you know, it wasn't where the industry was going. But because of that, we learned all the basics because they needed something to teach us in the first year. Which
good news, you can probably
lucky,
get a
really.
course on it now. Now Flash has been gone for years. There's
probably.
a course on it. Yeah.
I bet there is a history of computing course which gets you to do a Flash program or something.
I'm
like
really
that,
glad that I grew up in the era I did, because I think going through the thing with home computers and 8-bit and actually learning, being back then, if you wanted to make your computer do anything, you had to make it do it.
You had to
was,
program it step by step.
Software but anything you wanted to customize was down to coding. And so and I just happened to fall in love with the idea of what you mean I can build something in this invisible space. It's not actually, because I'm not a constructor. I'm crap at building with bricks. I'm rubbish at painting. But in that digital landscape, I was like, oh, now I've got something I can do. I can paint with this and create.
But just a few years earlier than that, and actually, you wouldn't have been able to do that. You'd have, you know, running a program like that, you would still have needed a solution like a cartridge, like a physical piece of machinery that you plugged into another physical piece of machinery. And so, again, you're right. Just that period, I suppose. I'm thinking more generationally than the actual year that I was born. I was born in 1978, so I feel that that's pretty lucky because I got all of the computer advances in the 80s.
Yeah.
I grew up with that. And there was a thing that Douglas Adams said about the things that you grow up with are the things that you think you can do as a job, and the things that come along after you've reached that period are things that the kids understand and you don't.
Well, I still say that. I mean, I use certain devices. Like, I've got a mobile phone. I use it all the time. I can get around it.
Sure.
But whenever someone goes, do you know how to do this on a phone? 9 times out of 10, the answer is going to be, if I don't do it, no, I don't know how to do it. On a computer, even if I don't do it, there's probably a good chance I've seen it done, know someone that's done it, or I've got a pretty good idea. And it's just because that's what I grew up with. I'm really good with because I make the effort to learn what makes it tick. My phone is something I kind of use, and I'm like, I'm not interested.
Well, the phone is such a locked system.
Yeah.
And those use cases where you need to do something different are so few and far between that why would you have learned that? Yet when you go back to like the days of the ZX81, and everybody needed to know how to program if they wanted to do the things that you wanted to do on that. So there was a community built up around having, even, you know, if it was a fairly disparate one and was only communicating through magazine articles and things like that. There were places where you could find that information out.
Yeah.
But so many more people wanted to do roughly the same thing. Whereas with a phone, I do the thing that I want to do, and if I don't know how to do it, I'll look it up on Google or YouTube or whatever it is.
That's what I do.
And that's what I'm finding with the retro stuff as well, actually, because
I like using my phone and taking it to the point of like breaking it almost, like using cracked bits of software and all sorts of stuff.
Right.
So that I can, mess around with it. I downloaded a cracked version of WhatsApp, and I was using it for months, and I could read unsent messages and all sorts of things, and schedule messages and that sort of thing. But then it broke my phone. Literally broke my whole phone, and I had to re-download everything again. Start the whole. It's like ball ache, but I'll still do it again. I haven't, it's just because I like tinkering around with things. So
I have dedicated machines for tinkering with now. I have what I call my hack top, which is a laptop that sometimes runs Windows, sometimes runs Linux, sometimes runs just whatever. And I'll take it out with me because it's got a good battery life. But I've also got all the Linux hacking tools on it. So, I've collected so many businesses' Wi-Fi passwords around here, the ones that are private. So that if I'm ever stuck, I can go out into town with my hack top, sit on certain benches, and I can go, I'll just use their Wi-Fi. I cracked the password to that 2 weeks ago. I put a strong antenna up here and left the hack top running doing brute force attacks, and it was getting people down the far end of town. Brilliant. So yeah, I've got things like that, but because I run,
is that called packet sniffing or something, or?
There's also I don't know half the terms because I just got tools that do it. So
Right.
But I go in and like, there's one that just does that. The most common one is one that it will detect all the Wi-Fi things, and then it will try and do an interrupt on the handshake. And if it can, the minute it can get one, it can now start making requests to join, and it will brute force password attempt. And you can get mammoth databases of passwords online, and you just run it, and it can do it very rapid. I mean, it still takes hours, but if you leave the computer running and then like 24 hours later you go back over there and it's managed to break into a couple of local networks, another few hours later it's got a bunch more. And it was really funny one day. I was sat down in the coffee shop downstairs and I'm using our Wi-Fi, and they go, "Is the Wi-Fi working all right for you?" And I went, "Yeah." And they went, "Oh, they've been having problems with the guest Wi-Fi." I wasn't on the fucking guest Wi-Fi. I was on their Wi-Fi because they got two. I didn't tell them that. I'm thinking, oh shit, yeah, because their Wi-Fi is 10 times faster than the guest one. So I used the main one because I cracked the password for it months ago.
Yeah.
One of the best little devices, if anyone's interested in this sort of thing, one of the best little devices I ever got is it's a little Raspberry Pi with a battery on it, and it's running the Punagotchi software. And you just carry it with you, and it will, if it detects and it's got battery power, it will start doing the thing and getting the hashes. And then what you do with that is you bring it back and download the hash table, and you run that for another bit of software which uses a server online, and it cracks the passwords that way. And that's really handy because you can just be wandering around not doing anything, and it's working away for you. So
Flipper Zero is similar, isn't it? I've not
yeah,
looked at it. I've heard about it.
Yeah, I haven't got one. You need so many add-ons to make it do anything worthwhile. So by the time it looks like it's a really neat bit of kit, right? And you go, "Oh yeah, it's cool, you can do it." But when you actually want to hack it, you got to plug all this antenna and this other stuff, and it just ends up looking ridiculous. I'm like, fuck that. So, and my hack top laptop was cheaper. I paid 60 quid for this laptop outright on eBay.
I am a little bit shocked at the price of some of the things, because I've been looking at console-y things recently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit shocked at how cheap you can get some actually very good hardware.
Yep. I'm one of the things. I've got lots of little projects and stuff, but yeah, the hack top idea was just like, I want something I can fuck with, and it doesn't matter if it breaks. It's not oh shit, my business runs on this, and I can't watch Netflix tonight. It's my main computer. So that's what the birth of the hack top was, and plus just having a portable device I can take anywhere and I don't care about. It costs 60 quid off eBay. And I mean, okay, I've got a good spec machine, but with no operating system. No, I didn't want an operating system. I was like, good, send me it empty, and as long as it works and I can upgrade it a bit, which I did. Yeah, and that way, and it's great because I bought something that can take a bit of a knock, so you really can. It's all solid state as well, so it really just gets slung in my bag and taken with me wherever I go. And I don't care if I'm sat in a coffee shop and it's getting a bit mucky or there's dirt on it. Don't give a shit. Just throw it out. And it's actually really liberating having a computer that you don't give a fuck about. I mean, nothing bad's happened to it. I've got stickers all over it as well. Like a Skull and Bones. I've got hacking stickers on it and other ones. Some of them are offensive. But if you're reading the back of my laptop in the coffee shop, that's on you. Hello, Dan.
Hello.
Let's just say goodbye, YouTube, because we're still on there.
Hello. Goodbye, YouTube.
Yeah,
Goodbye, YouTube.
And Sorry, we're not going to tell you whether David Kirby got his money back or not.